little baby, don't you cry. Good job. Marvin makes me ring that bell, so I like when Marvin's happy. Aikwi, welcome and hello. This morning as we gather, we want to acknowledge that the land upon which we stand, sit, and live, and upon which this building sits, is unceded territory of the Wiyot people. We are also surrounded by other traditional and ancestral lands of several of the other tribes in our area, and we acknowledge them as well. The Hupa, Karuk, the Matol, Wiyot, Yurok. Yurok actually is the largest tribe in California in population. The Wiyot name for Eureka is Turichichi, bless you, whoever did that, meaning where you sit and rest, as this piece of land is between South Bay, Wichi in Wiyot, and that's where the Wiyot people en route to the Mad River would stop and rest. And as a citizen of the Norelmak-Wintu Nation, which is in Trinity County, I'm honored that we are able to acknowledge this every Sunday and other times that a lot of meetings now that take place in our municipalities in Fortuna, Eureka, McKinleyville, Arcata are honoring the land now, acknowledging the land, which is a good thing. As a citizen of the Norelmak-Wintu Nation, I offer this prayer, a portion of a big prayer. You may stand and join me if you like. Our tradition is to hands up and eyes up. We draw in our ancestors with these gestures. Olabis, ka'achepet, your Nichi is calling. Niabita, hear my prayers, Spirit Giver. Your children seek renewal, the sea people, the water people, the land people, all of your creations. Renew our spirit, ka'achepe, olabis, mi'achika. We honor the Wiyot peoples, all my relations. Ho. Thank you. Now, who takes the podium? Is that you, Rick?
Yes.
Excellent. I'm doing a good job of staying here until you get here. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Rick St. Charles. I'm filling in for Scott Marcus. I'm not sure where Scott is.
New Mexico.
In New Mexico.
Last in Albuquerque.
Oh, what's he doing there?
Looking at art, having fun.
Oh, okay.
Staying warm.
Okay. And Angelica's having a kick in Scotland. You can go to her Facebook page and see the pictures. Wakana, are you here?
She was a little late.
Oh, okay. She's taking care of Angelica's cats while she's gone. As you know, Angelica loves cats. That's why she loved this painting we found by one of our members, Glenda Fields, with three cats in it. Hello. Hello. All right, I'll stand close. Stand close to this one. Okie doke.
So as I was saying,
So Angelica always has 3 cats. If one passes on or something happens to it, another one will show up to take its place. And they're always very well behaved in her house. But she also has a soft spot in her heart for all the feral cats. And she lives next to a forest belt that runs through Eureka. So there's...
Up this a little bit.
Okay.
Now you don't have to bend your neck.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. So she also feeds the feral cats, but the feral cats have to stay outside because they can be nasty to the other cats. So Wakana came in the door the other day to feed the cats, and the 3 cats were all cowered in the corner. She looked around, and there was a big old nasty flea-bitten Tom feral cat sprawled out on the couch. And she looked at him and she said, "Namaste, but you must go outside." And he looked at her and he said, "Namaste." Welcome, everybody. Let's do the opening affirmation together. Marvin, can you put up that slide? I'm going to say the last line, looking at someone. We are a welcoming community where the vibration of love lifts us, the wisdom of the ages inspires us, and the science of mind teaching empowers us. I honor the path that brought you here today. Marvin, can you bring up our weekly schedule? There it is, kind of a quiet week. We have a Course in Miracles Monday at 10. I'm not sure. Usually Burl leads that, and she's in Scotland.
You probably got somebody else to do it.
I know, so I'm doing it.
Someone's doing it?
I'm doing it.
Oh, you're doing it? Oh, great. James is doing it. Okay, thank you. James is doing it. Okay. And then Monday also we have yoga with Kathy Goodman, and also on Thursday. Kathy, would you like to say something about that?
If you want your body to feel better, come.
I've been to the classes. I plan to resume. Your body will feel better after the classes, because she's a stretcher, but that feels really good, and I feel better having taken the classes. Let's see. We have a guest speaker coming up. Can we have that slide, Marvin? Yes. Reverend Lynn Fritz will be speaking next Sunday on healing self and our world. And she is a wonderful speaker. If you haven't heard her before, boy, you don't want to miss her. Okay. Now, is Wakana with us yet? Nope. Okay. Well, Wakana is heading up the plant sale, and Reverend Angelica is heading up the Twice Nice sale. So those are the dates. There are sign-up sheets. Currently, they're in the office door in that little compartment here, but maybe we could bring them out and put them on the table. I can do that when I go over there. Bookstore, got some great ones. Previously loved books are $1 off. They're in the social hall. So while we're gathering there, take a look. There's some very good books there. Our little pantry, as always, can use food. Non-perishable pop-top cans. Baby food is welcome. Milk and juice is welcome. Individual servings are best. And we have lots of ramen noodles at the moment. You know, I used to love ramen so much I would eat it morning, noon, and night. I was kind of a hopeless romantic. That's your cue, Jeff. Okay, our contemplative meditation today will be with Les Craig and Jackson Eldridge. Take it.
Well, this is kind of amusing. I had planned initially to do what I'm going to do, but then I didn't have the book, so I came here to look in the library for it. Couldn't find the book in the library. Found another book by the same author, and put it down so that I could play with the band. And when I came back to my seat, I couldn't find it. So I went and got my phone and pulled up what I had initially decided to do. So it's sort of like Spirit working through Donna. Made sure I would stick with my initial intention here. This is from Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. Then a woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow." And he answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again at your heart, and you will see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say, joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep on your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh gold and silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall.
I'm held in love, I'm held in peace. God is holding me with every breath, with every step. God is holding me. I'm held in love, I'm held in peace. God is holding me with every breath, with every step. God is holding me.
Jackson being psychic again, thank you. I am grateful. I am grateful for the one life, the one love, and the one mind. And I know that each of us, as we are, as we feel, within the self that is here, not some Disneyland being that has made itself perfect with when it wasn't looking, but as we are, expresses the one mind, experiences the one life, and loves with the one love. And in this is the compassion that creates healing. In this is co-creation with a sentient, sapient universe. All of you have this power. This power is you. You are it. As we go forward with our service and as we go out into the world, we carry this with us and share it wherever we go. And so it is.
God is holding me. God is holding me. God is holding me. God is holding me.
Thank you and bless you, my friends. And I would like to welcome our speaker for the day, my friend Lorna. Do you need a hand down?
Great. Well, good morning. When I signed up to do this talk, I did not know that this was going to happen. Yes. I do have people with fellow challenges. So it's been a really interesting experience, and I wanted to say what happened and what my response has been, because it has just been filled with kindness. About a year and a half ago, I got a lump on my finger and I had it operated on, and we had hoped that it had gone away. Last November, it was operated on again, and it came roaring back. And so Pinky has gone bye-bye to be a research project. Oh, no. And my husband calls me Four-Finger Jill. Yeah. However, he is also so incredibly kind about it. And I wanted to share with you something that happened yesterday. Neither of us expected, when we found out that I was going to have the amputation, that I would bounce back and be as healthy and well and centered, I guess, as I am. And so as we were going into it, he was preparing himself to serve me, to take care of me, to be, my helpmate. And a couple of days after the surgery, it got really clear that I was going to be able to do virtually everything except those things that you need two hands for. And that was a shock to him, I think more so than it was to me. And so, kindness we often think about as being caring, compassionate, loving, communicative, and all of those kinds of things. Well, communicative certainly fits for what happened yesterday. I got up and I started saying, well, this is what I want to do in the garden, and this is what I want to do, and I want to go to Pearson's. And he was a little bit in shock because he'd been anticipating that the weekend would be quiet and he would be reading to me. And so the kindness was that he said, hey, Lorna, I want to talk to you. And he came and got me from where I was and sat me down. And he said, this is so different than what I was expecting. I didn't know that it was going to be like this. And honestly, I'm a little bit in shock. I don't know quite how to be with you. And And he said, I hope you don't get mad about it. Well, heavens. Who would get mad about that, right? But he'd been nervous to talk to me about it, that he'd really thought that I would be more of an invalid than I was. And so that, that demonstrated a different kind of kindness to me, which is truthful, being truthful, and bringing forth that which is in service of the moment. And so in growing in kindness, I'm having a great opportunity to grow in kindness to myself, to look and see what I can do and what I can't, and also to receive the kindness of others. So something I can do is I can drive just fine, but I can't get my pants all the way up. So I have to have somebody help me. So Michelle, wherever she is, thank you. Yeah. So there are a lot of synonyms for kindness, and I think if you're in touch with kindness at all, you'll realize that no one of them fills every single one of the characteristics of kindness, but here are a few of them. Caring, compassion, concern, courtesy, friendliness, gentleness, grace, helpfulness, hospitality, understanding, unselfishness. And I noticed that honesty or truthfulness is missing, and I think that that's really a key component of true kindness, true and authentic kindness. So when I was growing up, my mom said, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. How many of you got that one? Yeah. So pretty much all of my growing up and the way into my adulthood, I thought that being nice was being kind, and I didn't know the distinction between them. And I wondered why sometimes when I was being nice to somebody, they'd push back. And in retrospect, I've come to realize that I was being nice, but I wasn't being truthful. I wasn't taking care of myself and genuinely taking care of them. I was telling them what I thought they wanted to hear, or bending over backwards because I was supposed to be a nice girl, right? So my mentor, Maria Nemeth, who wrote the really valuable book, The Energy of Money, she makes a distinction between being nice and being kind. And so being nice is when you're polite to people and treat people well, but often at your own expense. And being kind is when you genuinely care about people and show that you care, and do that from a place of caring about yourself. So it becomes a wonderful interweaving of our possibilities. See, I knew I had to talk about this because I talk with my hands. Y'all would have been asking me questions. And kindness doesn't necessarily always look like kindness. I know a woman who is a juvenile detention officer in another county, and she had a young woman in the hall that was due on a particular date for her court date. And she started acting out. She was scared about what was going to happen on her court date. So she started a couple of days before acting out, but not that seriously, so they took care of her. But on the day of the court date, the teacher said, I think it would be easier on this girl. She didn't have to go to school, because they had a school in the juvie hall. It would be much easier on her if she didn't have to go to school. So why don't you keep her and just, give her some things to do in her room? Well, they sent her to school. The person who was over the hall sent her to school, and she really acted out and got sent to her room in a much heavier mood probably than she would have been if she had just been allowed to stay in her room. So then she was banging around, knocking things over, actually hitting herself against the walls. And the detention officer went and said, "So, you're gonna hurt the hell out of yourself just because you're scared." And this is a person who is a Quaker, the detention officer. I don't know that I have ever heard her swear other than when she told this story. So it was very deeply uncharacteristic of her, but it pulled the girl up short. And she stopped doing what she was doing, went through her court hearing. About a week later, she came to the detention officer and said, "You know what? Thank you. That's one of the kindest things anybody's ever done for me, was reflect to me what I was doing to myself." So it doesn't always look like kindness, what we do to support others. And yet it can be enormously kind. So, on airlines, they say put on your own oxygen mask first. If you are seeking to be kind to others, if you see someone could use some kindness, I'm learning, and I continue to learn this because isn't it practice, 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 right? They don't call it practice for nothing. I'm learning to check my own state of being before I reach out, so that I'm not just being nice and helping out, but doing it at the expense of myself. So it's listening to myself, seeing what I might need to do to bring myself into a place of being centered. And Maria Nemeth, I started this story and I think I went off base. When she makes that distinction between being nice and being kind, she also has a wonderful question that she asks people, and she asks her coaches. I'm one of the coaches trained in her tradition. Who am I willing to be in order to produce an extraordinary result out of this interaction? Now, you notice it's who am I willing to be in order to produce an extraordinary result out of this interaction. It's not what am I willing to do, how am I being. It's am I willing? Am I willing? And some of the words then that she has for states of being to answer that question are words like compassion, compassionate, loving, courageous, and one of them is kind. And so when I notice that I'm off base and I'm at risk of not being kind, even when there's a situation that would call for kindness, I have found it so useful to ask just the first part of that question. Who am I willing to be? Who am I willing to be in this moment? So that this moment takes on the character that I want for it to. And very often, most often, one of the words and I usually just choose one word out of the 23 that Maria has given as possible states of being. The two that most often come up are loving and kind. Once in a while, courageous, fairly often compassionate, but loving and kind. And so when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, I've known some people for whom being loving, they didn't grow up with much love in their home. And it was difficult for them as adults to authentically express love. And yet, what they found is that if they could get in touch with their own kindness, with their own caring, and desire to communicate well with other people, that became their pathway to loving. So kindness can be a pathway to loving. Conversely, loving can be a pathway to kindness. If you love someone, you care about them, you really want to have the very best for them, then out of your love, you can bring forth authentic kindness. I ran across a quote, "People may not always tell you how they feel about you, but they will always show you. Pay attention." Well, turning that around, you may not always tell people how you feel about them, but they will always know. You will always show them. So pay attention. And it's called listening to yourself, checking in with yourself, being present with yourself, and then being present with the other. So lack of kindness arises from feeling hurt, holding judgments about yourself or others, lack of understanding. For me, kindness has been a lifelong quest. And in no small measure, because of that message, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. So then it has been distinguishing if somebody says something nice to me, what are they really saying? And feeling into, sometimes you'll feel that the message they're giving isn't necessarily authentic. So then, what response can you give that isn't like meanly pushing back, but maybe seeks to bring it into a greater sense of kindness rather than just that element of being nice? The Dalai Lama says, "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible." I love that. It's short, sweet, and to the point. Yeah. So observing what gets in the way of kindness. I'd love to think of myself as being kind all the time, and I know that quite a few of you have experienced some of my kindness. But I also know that I can be catty, ornery, mouthy, short. And so a real place of growing in kindness for me has been to observe myself, to learn what are the symptoms or what are the signals of these things. Is there a tone of voice or a particular body movement when I'm about to be catty or I'm about to be mouthy about something? And if I can observe and feel that, or hear my tone of voice, then I'm in a much better place to be able to take corrective action than I am if I just kind of lean into the cattiness. So being receptive to kindness, again, observing yourself, finding out what works for you for kindness. So it's not only observing the things that don't work, but it's also observing what is working in terms of you being kind to others and also you receiving kindness. You know, that's another place that I've had a couple of pretty serious ailments in over my years. And the first couple of them, I wanted to do absolutely everything myself, and it was virtually impossible for me to ask others to help me. Well, that actually was an unkindness to the people around me because they wanted to help. I was shunning it. They saw that I couldn't do as much as I thought that I could, but I turned their assistance away. So I was being unkind to them, certainly, and unkind to myself in not receiving. So one of the great kindnesses that you can do is receive the kindness of others graciously, with thanksgiving, with happiness about what it is that they are offering. Because I'd venture to say 99 times out of 100, it's coming from their heart. Once in a while, it might be coming from, I want something in return. But a lot of the time, it's going to be coming from their caring for you, from their heart. I love it that kindness is it's kind of a movement of its own. It ripples out. It ripples out from those who are kind, and by receiving kindness, it ripples within. The Maya Angelou said, it takes courage to be kind. And if we can pull back from unkindness, learn to recognize when we are feeling that unkindness, and begin to pull back from it. It becomes a place of greater ease, of greater peace, and of grace. And you'll begin to feel the grace if you can pull back from anything that is unkind. The other place I go when I realize that I'm off base is just into prayer or into treatment. It's to know that there is something else other than what outward appearances would show. So a few ideas about remembering kindness in your life and inspiring others as well. Be kind to yourself. People and kids especially can learn kindness from your example. And so to be able to bring that into their lives is a kindness in and of itself. And then I said it before, practice, practice, practice. You know, observe yourself, observe others. See when people are genuinely being kind. Let their kindness in. Don't turn it away. Don't shun. It's about connection. It's about your connection with Source, the ultimate source of kindness, yes? And it's about your connection with yourself and with others, and with this wonderful world we live in. So another avenue to kindness is to look at what you value most. And I think for most of us, high on our list of value is connection with others. And kindness, true, genuine kindness, is such an amazingly wonderful way of connecting with others. I love what Mr. Rogers said. He's a mentor to children. I'm sure probably everybody knows, but just in case. Mr. Rogers, mentor to children and parents for decades, says, there are 3 ways to ultimate success. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. The third way is to be kind. Love it. Is there anything else? Love is all, kindness is all, yes? Each person from whom we receive kindness stays with us forever. Our kindness likewise ripples out forever. And with that, Marvin, the affirmation. Let's say our affirmation together. The kindness are planted within me, and I use their growth to nurture the world around me. And going into prayer, inspired by Ernest Holmes. I know this for you as I know it for myself, realizing that God, Great Spirit, is everywhere present and in all things. I know that kindness and understanding are shown to me. As I receive the kindness from God, I bless anyone who seems to disturb me, allowing the breath of kindness to be in that blessing. I know how to love those who are dear to me and love them more each day. There is no one who is not dear to me. As my kindness to myself and others grows, so I grow as a caring and kind individual. Great Spirit in me is never troubled. Nothing can take love from me or keep it out of my heart. Love enters freely, and there is no restriction to it. I show this love through my loving kindness to others. I came into this world to love, and my love overflows as I grow in kindness and understanding. I express my love for God, a boundless gratitude because I am alive, because I am bountifully endowed with kindness that flows from the source. My source rejoices for me, and I am grateful that this is so, and so it is. And our music today is by Donna.
And friends.
Donna and Friends, lovely, even better.
Thank you, Lorna. I really appreciate the building blocks that, the steps we can take toward kindness.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lorna.
And I appreciate that Jackson, Brian, Claudia, and myself have dug up this ancient tune from our Silmar days more than 25 years ago. We can build toward kindness one step at a time, one brick at a time.
Everyone is up to what can't be done, but all the way with courage and love.
The strength to bend the strongest bar, the will to reach the farthest star. It's just a case of learning how to start.
To build a tower up so high to the cloud, you'll anchor build it one tiny brick at a time.
Bucks multiply till the bums a banker just begin with a thin silver dime.
That empty field, it could yield miles and miles of flowers. You don't need no magic powers, just some steam and showers.
From the floor to the skies you can soar if you're wise enough to climb. One brick at a time.
To build a ship that's built to last, to lay the keel and raise the mast. The goal begins with just a simple rhyme.
And oh, it would somehow be neat your teeth to sharpen up your knife and take your time.
One stalwart chap with a cup and a bunch of hours, he can scoop all the salt from the sea.
Buds open up, turning boughs to bowers, all begun with just one bumblebee. To write with ease, symphonies, or at least cantati filled with truths and obbligati. Start with lots so lofty.
Leave the rest in the dust, be the best if you're just content to climb. One brick at a time.
Just take a brick and place it on the ground. You make it stick, pour mortar all around. A cup of lime, then stir until it's hard. Then up she'll climb, by inch, by foot, by yard. A sill, a door, a ledge, a window pane. Then drill some more, raise up a weather vane. A roof, the roof, then going slow like this. A splendid edifice can climb
One brick at a time. To build a tower up so high to a cloud, you'll anchor build it one tiny brick at a time. Bucks multiply till the thumbs of anchor just begin with showers from the floor to the sky. You can soar if you're wise enough to climb. Elephants can climb one brick at a time. One brick at a time.
And that's the truth.
You guys have a name for yourselves?
The bricklayers.
Okay. Well, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Marva, can you put, let's see, we're going to do our sharing of gifts now. And Marvin's going to put up our offering affirmation, and there it is. Let's say this together. I gratefully give from the fullness of my abundance, knowing my gift blesses this center, all in it and beyond. So it is. We are grateful for these gifts that have been given with love. We know that it will help this center grow and thrive and become a greater community for all. Money is God in action, and all who have given are blessed, and it returns to you multiplied. And so it is. Who would like to read our community statement of inclusion? Louise.
Get my glasses.
You haven't memorized it?
That goes away with age, I think. We, the Eureka Center for Spiritual Living, are a community that celebrates diversity, fosters inclusion, champions inner work, and creates space for brave, vulnerable conversations. We are a community that honors the unique emanation of God that each person embodies and advocates with people for human rights and dignity for all. We are a community that blesses each other, sees sacredness in all life, and remains learners and listeners so that we may grow together, and understands that oneness is not sameness. And join me in the last sentence here. We know our beloved community is revealed more fully when we love each other well. Now, do I have to stand here till, oh, okay.
Scott Marcus taught us that. He's a Toastmaster, so you should know. You have something to add? Oh.
Oh, dear.
That's right. Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
No, that concludes our service, except for we're going to vandal play for a little bit longer while people leave, and if you...
Sing or something.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Can we have a hand for
I
Rick?
should have let you come up here.
Please stand.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, I
it's all-
missed it, yeah.
Go play your bass.
I don't play bass on this song, it's all Jackson.
God fills all the universe, His presence is in everything. Love from God surrounds my life, and so this joyful song I sing. God is beauty, peace, and perfection. God is the great prosperity. I am one with God, and now I claim all good that's meant for me. God has given me the choice to do what I feels best for me. Knowing this, I speak my word and listen for what is for me. Now I choose to let God express His love and His happiness through me. Joyful music fills the air, and love rings through eternity. I accept the love of God, and as it fills my heart and mind, I see everything around me mirroring the joy I find. I am thankful for the assurance that all universe is one. I release my word with joy and know that it is surely done. And so it is. Nice. Good job, choir.
Thank you all for coming. Be sure to come next week to see Reverend Lynn Fritz.